I got my first record when I was 15. That's when I got my record player and immediately started collecting records. This record, Gorilla Biscuits, Start Today. It's the first record I ever got. My mom bought it for me. I was 15 years old. I had just purchased my first record player and saved up so much money for it, and I was really proud of myself. And my mom knew that this was my favorite album at the time, and she bought it for me. And my mom supports my addiction.
I bought my first record right around the corner from here. There used to be here in Milford a number of small stores, and we would go for like heavy metal cassettes, but they had a ton of vinyl. And my parents always had a turntable. We always had a turntable set up in the living room, and that had a lot to do with it, as well as just having this machine sitting there that eventually you start screwing around with. And at that point, they weren't really listening to records, but they always had a box of records. So I bought my first actual record when I started going to hardcore and punk rock shows, probably 8th or 9th grade, and it just was something bands sold. Bands didn't sell tapes. Bands CDs at that point hadn't even come out yet, and so there were these things that I could bring back home in the living room on my parents' crazy machine and put on, and it was kind of a weird thing to have this machine that was always sitting in your house suddenly have this use. You know, you're into this underground kind of subculture, and you're bringing home these things, and you're like sneaking in the living room and turning on the hi-fi and making noise your parents would kind of hate.
It's not like you could just like go in your car with your stack of records and listen to them as you drive around town to like all your different other like destinations. You actually have to make time for the music. You have to make time to sit in front of your stereo with your headphones, or to just be in your house and actually experience the music.
When I think about this record, I feel like it summed up me going to shows and getting into music, and I feel like when I look at my records, it's like this timeline for me of like what I listen to, and like getting more involved with music, and like taking a step back from music and being into certain bands.
As for how many I have now, I would go out on a limb and say that I probably have between 7-inch singles, 45s, and LPs, probably a little bit over 3,000. And admittedly, when I think of the time it would take to listen to those end on end, it kind of deflates me from wanting to buy any more.
I don't collect records to like own a certain number of records. Like, I'm not trying to like show off my collection, or like, I own records because I like every single record I own is something that I wanted so badly. Like, that record meant something to me, and then I bought it, and it's like each one of my records has its own like story behind it. I feel like a certain memory in my mind that it triggers, and it's totally worth it to me. And like, I almost feel like at this point it's like my legacy, and I want my family one day to like feel the same way I do about music, and put value in it, and understand why it was so important, and like it's totally worth it. And to me, it's not a waste of money at all.